And that's why it drives me nuts that only 5% are living that purpose-driven life. 5%. So 95% of people are getting to an end of a life and sitting there going, man, I wish I would have done this.
Yeah.
I wish I would have aligned myself with that. And that is one of the saddest things in the world to me. So when people ask Rodman, what are you trying to solve for in life? It's always, I'm trying to solve for regret.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
All right, Be It Babe. This is going to be good. This is going to be deep. This is going to be amazing. A dear friend of Brad and mine, Rodman Schley, is our guest today. I've been on his podcast. If you listen to the Outlier Mindset, because I was on it, then you know who Rodman is. I wanted to have him on because you hear people often say, like, you gotta, like, just figure out your purpose. Just know your why. Why is it so important? And Rodman shares so much good stuff about the importance of our purpose and how few people are actually living theirs, and also how few people know what theirs is. And don't worry, there is a way to figure out what yours is in this episode. You gotta stay till the end. We also just talk about just the importance of being an outlier. And that's his podcast, that's his book. And I think in a world where we all want to belong and we can be a people pleaser, like that can even be really scary, but it's also like the key to everything we want. So it's a really, really great episode. I hope that you listen all the way to the end. I feel like I went and took an educational course at the end on what to do next. And so take a listen, take some notes, send this to a friend. And when you do figure out what your purpose is, I want to know it. And I know for sure Rodman wants to. So make sure you give us a DM and let us know how that's going. Here is Rodman. All right, Be It Babe. I'm really excited to talk with our guest today. He's a dear friend of Brad and I, and we have inside jokes, outside jokes, like just have the best time. I was honored to be a guest on his podcast. Rodman Schley is here today to basically share what he rocks at and how you can be it till you see it. So Rodman, tell us who you are and what you're all about.
Well, number one, so jazzed to be here. And yes, we are dear friends, and we were fast friends. I know we haven't known each other that long, but man, it was a fast friend kind of relationship. So happy to be here. You know what I do? I'm an entrepreneur by heart, always been an entrepreneur my entire life. And for me, I think it's such a tragedy because only 5% of people are actually living a life based on their purpose. Only 10% even know what it is. So for me, I want to help those people who are stuck, who are sitting in that 9 to 5, who are at that desk, who are doing the things they don't want to be doing in life, and wasting all that precious time, because time's just not a renewable resource. And I want to help those people break free from those chains, understand entrepreneurship, and then understand how they can build a life by their own design, not by what life is telling them they should be living, but the life that they really were meant to be living. I absolutely love it.
Okay. I love so much about you. But I definitely think the listeners' ears perked up, because mine did, on less than 10% of people know what their purpose is, and less than 5% are actually living it. And I actually, we've heard like, your why should make you cry, the 7 layers to why, like all these things. And I actually think people get so hung up on like, what is their life's purpose? And I think that sometimes they think if they just sit there and think about it long enough, it will just come to them, which I feel like puts so much pressure on the purpose to actually come through. So I don't know. Have you figured out how people can figure out their life's purpose?
No, it's a big one, right? But you got to lead with that, right? Because nothing else is going to come. If you don't understand that part of the equation, how are you going to go out and really execute on what you want to be doing? So it's really, really important work. But so many people get caught up in the day-to-day of what they're doing that they fail to sit down and really identify, what is that purpose? What do I love? And, for me, it was what I call the sacred checkbox. Being a serial entrepreneur, probably one of the biggest mistakes I made was I had too many companies, too many businesses, because I always led with profit over purpose. If I thought I could make money doing it, I was going to do it. And then the next shiny thing would come along. It's like, can I make money? I'm going to do it. Pretty soon, I just wore myself thin and wore myself out to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. So the important thing was, number one, to start putting purpose in front of money, putting purpose in front of profit. And that's where I came up with my sacred checkboxes. It's one of those things where I have what I want to be doing in life, how I want my life to look, what I want to build my life around. And then if something comes into my life and says, hey, look at this, try this, we can make a lot of money at that. If it doesn't check my boxes, it's out. It's just gone. So you can really focus in.
So are those sacred checkboxes, would you call them like a value that you have? Or is it more like my family has to be priority, sleep? How do you figure out your checkboxes, I guess?
It's soul searching. I mean, it's going pretty deep where you're going down and going, okay, what do I want my life to look like? When I get up in the morning, what do I want to build that I'm really excited about, that really is aligned with who I am? I came up with 4. I mean, my 4 sacred checkboxes. I love to travel. So travel was one of those boxes. I love to invest. I'm a real estate guy. I've always been an investor. So invest was on there. But I also love to teach. And then I love to inspire. I love to get people out of their chains and out into the world, right? So those are my 4 checkboxes. And so what do? Well, I've got a private equity company that we buy short-term vacation rentals. So there is my travel box. And it's also my invest box. So now I can get up, I can travel over the world, I can go to the properties that I'm buying, I can be investing in properties. It's a fantastic thing that checks a lot of those boxes. And then the ability to go out and just kind of teach and inspire. I believe that you get to a point in life where if you're just hoarding your knowledge, if you're just keeping it all to yourself and you're not passing it back down, you're not doing a service at all to society. You need to make sure that you're taking those things and helping people shorten their learning curve. So if it's a 5-year thing to learn, how can we help that person get there in 2? Or, just whatever it might be. How can we get people there quicker by sharing our knowledge? I think it's just such an important part of life.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really true. And also, people listen to podcasts know I've said this before, but like information without integration is constipation. Like if you just keep hoarding all this knowledge, you're going to feel really stuck at some point. But
yes.
So I thank you for sharing what your boxes are. I love that yours are only 4 too, because if you have too many boxes, it becomes impossible for anything to check a lot of them. So you don't want to have too many. It's kind of like when we were doing values for myself and for our business, it was like, you don't have like 7 values because you'll never remember them. No one in the company will remember them. It's really easy if you have like 3 to 5, kind of like these are the most important things that matter. The other stuff is just kind of gravy. And then I love that you shared like things have to filter through the boxes for you to say yes. It can't just be something, because I agree, like, especially for entrepreneurs and people who are big ideas people, which is a lot of people listen to the show. Like I hear a great idea and I'm like, oh my God, I have to start doing that idea. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I did a story. I'm like, I'm going to share my big idea with you all because I want someone else to do it. Like I don't have the time, but I want a coffee shop where alternative milk is the base milk and they charge you extra for regular milk. Because I'm sorry, you do not need to charge me $1 for 6 ounces of milk. So no, I'm all into printing money, but I want a place where like alternative milk is the way to go. And if you want regular milk, you have to pay extra for that.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm giving it away because it doesn't check all of my boxes on like the things that I want to be doing, but it is an idea that I have and I think it'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and you get that dilute when you start to dilute, when you start to dilute your efforts, you're going to get diluted results. It's just not going to work out for you. So it's really important to focus in on what your superpowers are, what you're really good at, what you love. And even then, even with 4 checkboxes, I get up and I'm overwhelmed sometimes going, oh my gosh, there's so many great ideas coming at me. How am I going to go in and how am I going to integrate this into my life? How am I going to integrate into my business? So when you're getting up and doing those checkboxes, at least it kind of keeps you focused in, okay, is what I'm going to do today, is it going to really help me get toward where I want to be in life, what I want to do with my goals? Is it going to make me feel good inside? Am I going to get out of bed and I'm going to hit the alarm and be crabby because I'm not doing the stuff I want to be doing? Or am I going to be getting out of bed without an alarm because I can't wait to get up and knock out my day?
Yeah, I think that's really true. I have, even with just like OPC, we have so many projects that go along with this one business. It's kind of, we have products, we have online classes, we've got the summer camp, we've got the things. And so I basically said, I'm not doing anything outside of OPC's actual classes and the tours. It has to go through that. Right. And of course, like I've been asked, like, can you come here? Can you come here? Can you come here? And there's like the party that's like, oh my God, I want to go there. And like, I love teaching and I love this. Like, hold on. How can it filter through what I just said I would do? Because otherwise I'm just going to get overwhelmed. And so I was like, yeah, I'll come to Alabama on winter tour. So you have like, that's when I'll come. And it, so Alabama, I guess we're coming, but also like, I had to be okay with like, I will say, here's how I can say yes, and here's how I can't say yes. And otherwise it's just going to be too much. And you get overwhelmed. And then even though everything checks the boxes, it no longer feels fun. It doesn't feel like a choice anymore. It feels like an obligation.
Yeah. And that's the worst. We want to be doing things because we want to be doing them, because we're excited about doing them. And if it's an obligation, I mean, come on. I mean, you got to think about what it's taking you away from, right? When you're making these choices, what is this choice going to take me out of or away from? How is it going to remove me from what I really want to be doing in the day? And then make that choice, because so many of us will just do things because we feel bad. It's like, oh, I feel like I have to say yes, or I feel like I have to do this. But at the same time, all you're doing is hurting yourself. All you're doing is kind of sacrificing what you should be doing, or the momentum that you might be having, because you feel bad. So you got to get that out of your head. You got to get up every day and you just got to go, you know what? Some things I can do, some things I can't do. Does it align with who I am and what I want to be doing, or does it not align? And then move it to the side.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really great point. We feel bad. Like we get invited to something and we don't feel like we have a good enough excuse to say no.
Yes.
But like no is also just perfect. Like I remember how long it would like take me like draft up a no to something. And I'm like, okay, this is taking a really long time. It's out taking more time than if I just went to the thing. So
yes.
For the people pleasers listening, do you have a really good phrase? Do you have a good tip?
Oh my gosh. Well, so for those people pleasers, I am you. I am that people pleaser. I am the person. I love taking care of people. I love seeing people happy. I love showing up for people when I can. But, you got to make sure that, again, when you're going through your process in your brain, you got to go, is this really serving me, or is it not serving me? And it's the same thing with, if you've got toxic people in your life, you got to really do those identifications of, so many people get these toxic people that are constantly taking from them. And there's nothing more important than your tribe. And so when you get around a group of people who fill you up, or who make you feel good, or help you move toward where you need to be going in life, go to that thing. But if you got these commitments or these asks from people who are in that other tribe, who are always kind of bringing you down, or I call it kind of that emotional and that verbal vomit that they do on you. Those are the kind of people. It's kind of like, just say no. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve where your purpose is going. It doesn't serve where you're going. Just be able to say no and be okay with it. Yeah. Be okay. Be gracious about it, but be okay with it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And also like, we've heard like we are the average of the 5 people that we hang out with and things like that. And it is true, because if the people that you're around aren't up leveling, it's going to feel really odd that you're going to feel like an outsider doing it. And if the people around you have a negative money mindset, you too will have a negative money mindset. Like these things just like creep into us. And so it is, we call them like energy vampires. Like those people just like suck that energy out of you. You gotta, and it sucks if that person is your roommate or your partner, but you have to figure out how to limit that exposure, because it does take you away from what you're here to do. And I know the people pleasing is so hard. First of all want to be liked. Like, if you don't want to be liked and you don't really ever care what anyone else has to say, I don't know how you're on this show. I don't know how you're listening. But also, most people want to belong. That's why Brené Brown is so popular. Most of us want to belong. Most of us want to be belonging in our community. And so we will do things that conform ourselves. You have been a serial entrepreneur, lots of different businesses. You've done so many different things. What are you doing that you're excited about right now? And kind of like, what was the impetus to starting that?
Well, so I still do a lot of things. And again, everything that I'm doing now, those right in my checkboxes. But I was, at one point in my trajectory, there was a time, like I said, I was putting profit before purpose, and it ate me alive. Every single day, it ate me alive. It made me feel like I wasn't doing the things I wanted to be doing. My days were spent taking care of problems that I didn't really want to be addressing, because I didn't like what I had surrounding me. And so I needed some change. This was back in 2009. And so I unwove that entire web. It took quite a while to unweave that web, and then start to really align with my purpose. The more businesses that I had, the tougher it became to unwind and sell this, get rid of that, move on from whatever it might be that's holding me back. So now I've got a couple of things. I've got a private equity fund. I mentioned that. We buy these short-term vacation rentals all over the world. Beautiful. My favorite one is down in Costa Rica. Absolutely stunning. Matter of fact, it'd be a perfect place for a Pilates retreat.
Yes.
And if you do that, I'm coming, by the way.
Yes, you are. Oh, I want to do it. I need another spot.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And we've got this incredible Pilates and yoga platform there that would be perfect.
Yes.
But anyway, then I've got a book coming out called The Outlier Mindset. It's going to be out on June 4th. Love this book. And it's about really being different. It's about capitalizing on who you are And everybody, so many people, we talk about that 5% living purpose and that 10% that know what their purpose is, but maybe half of those are actually doing it. But we think about a bell curve, right? In life, there's a bell curve. We got a left, we go up in the middle where the majority of us are, and then we come back out. Over on the left, you don't want to be those folks because those are your outliers. Those are your bad outliers. Those are the ones that are doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, right? But then you've got these incredible set of people who are doing incredible things in life, and they're sitting on the outside of that curve. But then you've got that 90% we talked about, or maybe even that 95% sitting in the middle of that bell curve. And what the outlier mindset does is it helps people go through the process to understand, what do I need to do? What do I need to be an outlier? How do I get out of this curve? How can I break free from that? Because outliers are very unique. They're very, very unique. But the first thing is they're aligned with their purpose. If you don't get aligned with your purpose, there's no way you're going to get out of that curve. You're always going to be sitting right in the middle of that bell curve.
Yeah, I like the way I pictured it. Like you'll just like keep sliding down. You're like, you'll just like slide around that bell. I love the outlier mindset, and I know it's what your book is and your podcast is, and it's like such an interesting way to think about it. But we just talked about like people wanting to belong, and it's so weird to be the outlier because it means you're going to ruffle some feathers. There's going to be some people who are in the same industry, which doesn't actually mean the same purpose, but in the same area, who are like, well, look what that person's doing. Why do they think they can do that? And it's so hard. It's hard to have the confidence to be an outlier. Is that in your book? Do you teach us how to be confident?
100%. 100%. So there's 7 tenets of the outlier. And one of them is being able to accept the fact that you're just different, right? I'm different. And you got to love that. I mean, I always tell my kids all the time, it's like, kids, we're just different. And that's okay. Let's celebrate that. Let's be awesome with it. It's not like I'm an outcast or I don't have an incredible group of friends or people around me. But, the thing is as you get out of the curve, the middle of the curve, and get to the outlier, you're still going to have these incredible people around you. You're going to outgrow some people. Of course, there are going to be people who are not going to like you over there because you're going to be succeeding. You're going to be doing what you want to do. People don't want you to be happy at times. And those are the people who go, okay, I've outgrown you. You can move on. The deeper work is just being able to identify that you are different and being okay with it. Celebrate it. Don't sit there and put it on the down low. Society is going to tell you how you should live, who you should be, how you should show up in life all the time. And the people in that middle of the curve are going to be the ones going, okay, life, you tell me, you dictate to me. And that's how I'm going to show up. But the people on the outside of the curves are the ones who go, no, I'm going to dictate this. These are my choices. This is my life. I'm going to dictate my time. I'm going to dictate my energy. I'm going to dictate how I show up. And I'm going to be different. And some people aren't going to like that. But you know what? I'd rather live a life based on my terms than a life based on society's terms.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you live on society's terms, the bar is always moving. Like you're never going to feel like you are ever hitting the bar, because they're just going to move it around. It's going to change. I have to do a talk today for the group that we coach. And I'm like, what I'm going to tell you is something that's going to work no matter which social media platform is the top choice, because they're always going to change how it works. They're going to change where the buttons are. They're going to change what this is. They're going to change what they care about. But people don't change how they want to receive information. And I find that comes to my mind because like, if you can just stay in the core of like what is true to you or what is true about the people you're trying to serve, it doesn't really matter what society does, because you will actually you'll still have a navigation, a still compass that you can work through.
Yeah. And society doesn't know you.
Yeah.
Society doesn't know you. That you get up every day and we conform to what society expects. Or, when you're young, it's like your teachers told you where to sit, how to dress, said you needed to make sure that you were always listening to adults. They told you everything. They said, listen to everybody else but yourself.
Yeah.
That's how we grew up, right? Listen to everybody but yourself. But that's just not good. When you're at the point you are when you're an adult, listen to yourself. Society doesn't know you. You know you. So be that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this morning before we came on, I was teaching a class for the AP, which is a really big deal. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, I'm just going to shout from the rooftops, but I was thinking about like, who works for them? Like, how are these people? And these are people who are like chasing stories or like making sure all these stories are going. They're constantly like pushing out information. So they're very much on the pulse of what's happening in the world. But I was like, so I was teaching them like, okay, I'm going to give you instructions. You might not be able to do them. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just an information around either the word I'm using or what your body's capable of today. So you have to listen to your body. If your body is saying, ouch, this doesn't work, you have to trust what your body is saying. It can't be me. And so often people go to these classes and they go, everything in life we do is society telling us. They're waiting for the teacher to tell them every single move, how to breathe, how to do these things. And yes, that's cool because you can turn your brain off, but our brain is actually more turned off most of the time because of society anyways, because of the TV shows we watch, because of like everyone is still telling us what to do, how to think and how to move. Like the more you can actually listen to your body, listen to your brain, trust yourself, that changes how you can get through that bell curve and actually be more confident. I think you're totally right. It's so interesting. I mean, like we do want kids to sit still in class. That's like really important so they don't hurt themselves, but also there's like everything in moderation, right? They do need to learn how to listen to themselves. And it's sad that you have kids. So I'm sure like you actually get to work with them on this outside of the classroom.
All the time. And I mean, they're absolutely I love my kids. I have just two incredible children, two girls, and it's just amazing to watch them grow up. And yeah, so I do kind of change that narrative a little bit at home too. It's kind of like, what do you want? What feels good to you? What feels right to you? Making sure that I'm asking those questions, not going, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Because, a lot of us want to live vicariously through our children, right? We want to push our narrative, our things onto them. And it's just not the right way to go. I mean, maybe they fall, maybe they're watching you every day and they love what you're doing. And maybe they find a passion for that too. And that's great. But at the same time, let them figure it out. Let them figure out what's good for them and what they need and how they want to thrive in life and what's going to make them smile. I mean, the thing is like, I was 20 years old yesterday. I'm 54 years old. Where did that time go? Right? It's insane. It's like time just flies by on us and we get all caught up in this garbage that's not really relevant to who we are and the life that we want to be living. We get caught up in a car that's not going to matter. In 100 years, my car is going to be in a scrap pile. 100 years, somebody's going to be living in this house that I can't even imagine to think about. All this furniture that's around me is going to be sitting in some kind of an antique store where people are going to be antiquing someday and going, oh, look at this old-fashioned leather couch, right? And that's just how life is. None of this tangible stuff really matters in the grand scheme of things compared to really what matters inside to you. When you get to that deathbed, this house isn't going to be, it's just not going to matter, right? And it's about the things that you're doing along the way. And I'll tell you just a quick story. So my mother, I lost my mother to cancer when she was in her upper 60s. And, she had all the struggles. We all have our struggles, right? My parents were divorced, so they were always bickering and arguing and fighting. And, she struggled with her bills at times and she struggled with her work at times. She had all these struggles. And at the end of that journey, when she was dying, we were in hospice together. It was a real eye-opening event for me because that last breath that she took, nothing mattered. Zero things mattered. That house didn't matter. That car didn't matter. Those clothes didn't matter. The jewelry didn't matter. Nothing mattered. They were just things at that point, right? What mattered was who my mother was as a person, right? And the things that she got up and lived for and the people's lives that she changed. So it's just one of those important things where I feel like people need to stop focusing on the things, stop focusing on the profit, start focusing on that purpose. All that money will come. I guarantee you. The money's going to come. The things are going to come, but put purpose first.
Yeah. It's so, oh my gosh. I'm reminded of, I listened to this woman who she's famous for this. And I'm so sorry. I don't remember her name, everyone, but you can yell it at me while you're listening. She actually wrote a book about being at people's deathbeds and what she learned from being at and she was strange. They were strangers to all of them. She was hired to do this, like a caretaker. And she learned the meaning of life from listening to people. And basically you're hearing them say the things that they regret doing, or not doing, the person that they didn't call, the person they didn't tell they loved, the actions they didn't take, or the thing, that's what they're and it's not in the very last breath, but it's that thing when they're faced with their own mortality, this, and there's no other options. And she learned so much from the time is now. And so if you can learn from what people I heard her do this talk and I had to go to Brazil and I didn't have, the Brazil trip was already costing me a bit of money and I was by myself and I wasn't going to do this one thing. And it was hang gliding over the Taka forest. And I was like, it's just really expensive. I think I'll just wait. I'll just do it the next time. And then I stopped myself and I was like, hold on. If I never get back here, will I regret that I didn't do this thing that is partially scary to me? Yes, it's expensive, but I came here with that as a thing I wanted to do. Do I really want to do it? Because I really want to do it. I should make it happen. And to this day, it is one of the best things I ever did on a trip for myself. And so I really try to like live with like, okay, am I doing this because I really want to do it? Then I have to trust the money will come, that it is the thing that's like that this matters to me. And we get so consumed that we're guaranteed to have another day. I do. Like, I'm like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. We're not guaranteed tomorrow ever, and it's really hard to live in the moment. But I think if you are able to at least every single day do things for your purpose, I feel like that is at least the best thing you can do for living in the moment that you have.
100%. And I always use that deathbed analogy. I mean, I always say, but for me, and it's for you, it's like when you're sitting in that deathbed and you're taking those last breaths and you're looking at your wife or you're looking at your husband, you're looking at your children. I just want to be able to say, you know what? I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I did everything that I wanted to do. I tried it. Sometimes I failed. Sometimes I failed miserably, but I learned, I pivoted, and I got to do exactly the things that I got up and wanted to do each and every day. And that's why it drives me nuts that only 5% are living that purpose-driven life. 5%. So 95% of people are getting to an end of a life and sitting there going, man, I wish I would have done this.
Yeah.
I wish I would have aligned myself with that. And that is one of the saddest things in the world to me. So when people ask Rodman, what are you trying to solve for in life? It's always, I'm trying to solve for regret.
Okay. Your book's going to help us discover our purpose and live by our purpose. Like, what can we learn from your book?
Well, there's so many things that you can learn from the book. And, so for me, the book for me is more about how can I help people, break those chains that they have, and whether they've put them on themselves, whether society has put on, whatever it might be. You're sitting there with these chains and you're doing the things in life that you don't want to be doing. And you're just like everybody else. And, for some people that might be just okay. That might be fine. And so I'm never critical of the person who's like, I'm comfortable, I'm happy, I'm sure as heck not an entrepreneur, but you're going to be an outlier whether you're an entrepreneur or not. I mean, if I'm going to go, maybe my purpose in life is to cure cancer. I'm probably not going to go start a huge lab and then try to figure out how to cure cancer. I'm probably going to go somewhere with really good resources and really good people and then be exceptional at what I do. But the first thing I tell people is, number one, if you're going to go out and become an outlier, I believe in universal energy, but I don't believe you just put stuff into the universe and all of a sudden, oh, here it comes. It's all coming my way. I believe that you put stuff into the universe and then you do the work, right? You got to make sure that you do the work. It's kind of like when people who pray, just pray for something to happen, but then they don't follow it up with any kind of an action and they wait for it to come to them, right? I think the universal energy is a lot like that. Put it into the universe, but don't wait for it to come back to you. Yeah. But those same people are the people who always work relentlessly to help lower their learning curve. And I give an example. You came to the flower farm. You didn't come when it was beautiful, but my wife's got this incredible flower farm out here.
I'm sure it's stunning right now. It's springtime, right? Or wait, hold on. Colorado just had some snow, so maybe not.
But it is still stunning and it's greening up. I tell you that. But with the flower farm, it's one of those things where she could have taken 5 years how to learn how to be a really good flower farmer. But instead, what she did is she took the right courses, went and got the right education, got the right knowledge. So she took a 5-year journey and cut it down to 2. So I always tell people, if you want to get there quicker, put in the work when it comes to acquiring knowledge, get a good mentor, get people around you that understand it, get good classes. Don't be afraid to spend money. She spent $2,500 to take 3 years off a learning curve. That is a bargain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
100%. And then, a lot of people have dreams, but you got to execute on your dreams, right? I mean, so many people keep them up here. 95%, matter of fact, are just hanging on to them up here instead of putting them into the world, which is an absolute tragedy. So you've got to make sure that be a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. You're a dreamer.
Yeah.
But execute on those things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like we got some beit action items already, but we're going to take a brief break. Find out people can follow you, listen to you, get your book.
Well, so in terms of where they can find me, the website's gorodman.com. You can find everything there. You can find our social media. You can find the book. I do have a guide on there that you can take, and it's a 25-page guide that'll help you identify your purpose. It's free. You can come get it. Yeah.
Thank
Step
you.
one. It's step one. So it's so easy. Come get that guide and just be a part of our community. We've got an incredible community there of outliers, and we just love having people there. But it's gorodman.com, and all my social media handles are at gorodman.
Amazing. We'll have your links down in the show notes, as we'll have the book. We'll have that 25-page guide, which we're all going to go download right now. Okay, you gave us a few, but just in case people skip to the end, bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted steps people can take to be it till they see it. What do you have for us?
Yeah. So what I would be doing right now, if I'm sitting there at my desk and I want change, the first thing I got to do is start with purpose. I know I've said that 100 times, but you got to start with purpose. Go get that guide, or if you want to do it on your own, do so, but establish what's important to you. You got to sit down and do that work, because if you don't know what's good for you, you don't know what your purpose is, you're dead in the water. You might as well not even start the journey, because if you don't know what the journey looks like or what it's going to be, there's nothing to even start. So you got to start with purpose. So whatever it takes, sit down with that spouse, find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, find out what you love, and then take those things and put those into what is important to you. Get your sacred checkboxes figured out.
Yeah.
Second thing you need to do is you got to get your mindset right, right? So many people are so beaten down, especially right now in society. Society's tough. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of stress. People have a lot of anger and angst, but you got to be in the right mindset. If you're going to go on a journey to start changing your life and you don't have your mind right, if you're not sitting there with the right perspective, the way that you're looking at things, the way that you're going into things, then you're going to fail. So you've got to make sure I've got this mindset that I'm going to move myself. I am going to go to the directions, and I'm going to go to the places that are going to be important to me. So we got to get our mindset right. The next thing I tell people is you got to get your health right. You got to get your body right. You and I had a good conversation about the importance of our bodies, and being an entrepreneur is tough. It takes a lot of hours. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of energy. It takes so many things. People think, oh, well, I'll have all this time off as an entrepreneur. Well, no, that's not quite how it works. We work so relentlessly at what we do. We love it. It doesn't feel like work, but you've got to have your body right. If you're not physically feeling good, how are you going to be at your best when you're trying to do the things in life that you really want to be doing? If you're not physically able to perform tasks, and I know sometimes you can't help it, right? Sometimes, I get migraines all the time, and I get it. And that's a great example of why health is so important. If I get a migraine, I can't do anything about it. It can shut me down. But there's all these things that are in our control when it comes to our health.
Yeah.
Get those things in place. Get your diet right. Get your exercise routines right. It will not only help you physically feel better, but it's going to help you mentally, because what it'll do is it's going to help you every single day when you're getting up to know that you can do something, or making it a part of your routine. Not to mention, it's a good break in your day if you're working that entrepreneur 10, 12, 14, 16 hours, to give yourself that time, whether it's an hour, whether it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever you want to give yourself for that physical, make sure you get that right.
Yeah.
The last thing that I would say before you get out and start building that life by design, the last actionable thing I'd say is you got to have your money right. So many entrepreneurs, they go out into life and they think, I'm just going to put this sign out and put an open out there and turn on the light. Now I'm open. And the money's just going to start pouring in. And entrepreneurship and business just doesn't work that way. Yeah. And what happens is a lot of people say, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go out and do my thing. And they quit it. And after 3 months, they don't have enough money to survive anymore. And they go right back to where they were. And you know what? They say, well, I failed. And it's not that you failed. You didn't fail. You just didn't financially set yourself up to get around that next curve, or to get around that next obstacle, or whatever it might be. So I always say, stay with your day job. Make it your side hustle, and then make your side hustle make you have to quit that job.
Yep.
I can't even remember who said it, but somebody said, think of your job as being your biggest business funder early on.
Oh, I love that.
I know. Isn't that great? So you got to think of it like that. You got to get your money right. Once you do those steps and get those things into place, then you can start building that life by design. And it's beautiful.
I feel like we just took a course. Rodman, you're so great. You're such a gift to this world. Thank you so much for these tips. And I can't wait to hear how people use them. Also, you guys, we'll make sure we put the link to his podcast, and we'll put the episode I was on. It's one of my favorite podcasts, one of the best questions I've ever asked. And we got to do that in person. So I always find that those interviews are uniquely different. So thank you, Rodman, for these amazing gifts. I'm so excited for your book. Your podcast is already out, so people can binge that. And you just are doing an amazing thing, helping so many people not just discover their purpose, but live their life by design and be an outlier. It's not easy. So we have to surround ourselves with other outliers. So thank you for creating that community and what you're doing. Y'all, how are you going to use these tips in your life? We want to know. Tag Go Rodman, tag the Be It Pod, and share this with a friend. Share this with a friend who just needs a nudge to be the outlier, to maybe you had a friend who's like wanting to do a thing and wants to quit a job. Like this is a great thing for them to listen to. Maybe they're feeling stuck. Share this with them because it could be the best thing that they listen to. It could help them out. And until next time, be it till you see it.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.